Welcome to Westover at Home, where we build your faith and we strengthen your family. I'm Pastor John, and I have a special guest with me today on this holiday edition of Family Recipes in Westover at Home, Pastor Danae. We're so glad that you're with us today, and we're here to talk a little bit about family recipes. What was it about our past and in our families that made Christmas and the holiday special? And we want to share with you some of the things that made our family recipes awesome in the past and what we're doing now in this season to make the holiday special for our family. Now, Danae, you love Christmas.
Yes.
You love the holidays.
Yes.
What is your absolute favorite thing about Christmas?
Well, that's, I think, a hard question because there's so many things to love about the Christmas season. But I think for me, it's the time that you get to set aside and be with your family, but also just remembering and taking the time to stop and remember the reason really for Christmas, the reason for the season, that it's about Jesus and his son that came to earth. And so I love to take that moment and pause in the midst of all the busy and remember why we are celebrating to begin with.
That's one of my favorite things about it. It's just the chance to spend time as a family. Now, we've spent a lot of time in this entire season, but there's something about the holidays where there's no school for the kids and we have a chance to hang out and visit. And so I'm looking forward to Christmas. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, and traditions are a big part of the holidays. Every family has specific traditions. And so what were some of your family traditions growing up?
Well, one was family. We always went to go visit my grandparents up in Dallas, or either go visit my grandparents down in the valley. But one of the things that was really big part about Christmas for us was food traditions. Mm-hmm. We had food traditions, and so I would make attempts to try to help my grandma make tamales or tortillas, but I was never very good at it. But she would say, "Mijito, it's all right, you can try to make that." And then she would give me it, and it wasn't very good, but at least I tried.
Yeah.
But that was one of the traditions. I think the other thing was, again, it was that family time. It was the time where we set everything aside and we had time to talk about what was special about the year, what was memorable, what we had done that we were proud of. That was one of the things that my parents would talk to us about.
Yeah.
What did you do that you're really proud of this year? And we would talk about those things. And that is a tradition that I think sticks with me, and that's something that we're trying to do with our kids.
Yeah, I think when I grew up, we had several traditions over time, but as I got older, I remember my mom loves to bake, and that became something between myself, my mom, and my sister that we would bake during the holiday season. And then as we got older, we still sometimes come together during the season and bake and pick our favorite recipes and do them together. I know one of my favorite recipes in the season, my mom makes makes molasses cookies that are just my absolute favorite in the season. And so that's a recipe that kind of comes to mind for me. So yeah.
I love, and I'll tell you, this lady can bake. She's phenomenal. In fact, I've asked her to share a couple recipes with you, so check out our social media. You'll be able to see some of the recipes that have been a part of her family, and hopefully that you'll enjoy them as well. Tell me a little bit about gifts. Gifts are always a big part of Christmas. Yeah. What was your best gift? What was the best gift you ever got?
I think I go back and I remember as a kid, I was probably like third grade, maybe fourth, no older than that. And I remember we got for Christmas the original Nintendo set that you got in the home system. And I remember just being so excited about it because everybody had it and we finally got one. Yeah. And I remember when we got home and we set it up, it was so exciting, and my dad spent all this time setting it up and making sure it all worked. And then he had to test it out for us, and he kept playing the game, and we couldn't even play the game because he was testing it for us. But I remember that being such a cool gift when we got it back in the day.
And she still has it. We have it in our house. She still has it. It doesn't work right now, but it's still there, and it serves as a reminder of what Christmas meant to you. Probably my favorite gift growing up was a bicycle. My brother had a really nice bike, and it was a big bike, so he would go out and bike with his friends, but my bike was so small and I couldn't keep up with him. And so I talked to my parents. I said, hey, I really want a bike, a bigger bike. And so one Christmas they surprised me with a bigger bike, and I was able to go out and ride and go hang out with my brother and his friends. And that was a special thing. And you know, when you're a little kid, it's the little things the little gifts that make a big difference. And that's what it was for me. It's those little things that make a big difference. And as we step into the holidays, I want to encourage you to find the gifts that really are meaningful to your kids and give them. They don't have to be big, but make sure that they're meaningful to the kids in your family.
And I love now as a parent, being able to give gifts to our kids. I think every parent, the first time you become a parent and that first Christmas that you're able to give gifts to your kids, and when they're little, you don't quite, they don't understand it, they're not into it. But I remember loving the year that my kids finally got into Christmas and they understood it. And just the joy and the excitement on Christmas morning, watching them run and open up their gifts and tear them apart, and just the joy when they would open up those gifts. As a parent, there was nothing better. But with all of that, there's also the importance to remember that Jesus is the center of the season, that Jesus is the center and the reason for Christmas. So how did your family make Jesus the center of Christmas?
That was a big part of our family tradition growing up. I remember my dad would gather us Christmas morning, and we would read the story of the birth of Jesus and talk about how he was the greatest gift. And then there were other family traditions that we would have. There were a couple years when we went out caroling, and we would go to other people's houses and stand outside and sing songs, and that was really meaningful. One of the things that we did at church is we would usually have like a Christmas play or like a musical, and that was really special. And so I look back and I remember those moments of going to practices for Christmas plays and being a part of that. And I think that's one of the things that I love about Christmas is that we find ways to get the family involved. And I think that's what it was. My parents always wanted us to know that, yes, it's about family, it's about food, it's about fun, it's about gifts, but Jesus really was the reason for the season, and they really wanted us to focus on that. And I think that's something that sticks with me as an adult and as a parent now, is to make sure to ensure that our kids know that Jesus is the real focus for Christmas.
Yeah. I think that's very important, and I would challenge anybody that maybe hasn't found a way to incorporate that into your family traditions for Christmas. There's never a better time to start than now. And so find small ways. They don't have to be elaborate things, but find small ways to have a conversation about the reason for Christmas. Have a conversation about that Jesus came and he was sent to earth as a baby because God loved us so much. And begin to share that with your kids. Find a way to have some moment together and make that a new family tradition in this season. I know for us, when I think about our family traditions, yes, when you become a married couple and become a family, you take the traditions you grew up on, but then you begin to create your own traditions as your own family. And that's something we've really enjoyed in the past several years. And so we try to find little things that we can do because the Christmas season can be so busy, but we love to decorate the tree together with our kids. We just put it up, and we enjoy doing that time with them and watching them open up the boxes and the ornaments, and they talk about the stories of, oh, I remember when I got this one, or I remember when I made this one at school, and they'll go around the tree and start talking about the memories that they have. And that's just heartwarming. And then we will watch Christmas movies together with them and just have, even the nostalgia ones, the old ones, we'll find ways to sit down and do those together because we want them to remember those moments, but we want them to remember that Christmas also is about family. And when they think back later on and when they're older, that all of these traditions and these memories come back, they remember that we were all a part of them. Another thing that we've started doing and we try to do is we drive around and look at all the Christmas lights, and my kids will make comments, and they give out their own awards when we drive by neighborhoods. They come up with their own awards on who has the best lights, who has the best inflatables, what was their most memorable, which ones were funny. They love that, and so that's something that we try to do with our kids.
And I love watching our kids enjoy Christmas. As you said, we just put up the ornaments, and I think for me as a dad, what was really neat was watching them experience these ornaments over and over again, and being able to see, even my favorite ornaments are the ones that they made. The ones that are made out of paper with their photo, and they're so small, and those are the things that I cherish. And it takes me back, and one of the traditions that I have as a dad is I actually film my kids putting up the Christmas tree. And every year I try to remember to do that so that I have photos of that where they're setting that up and they're talking about what Christmas means to them. And these are some of the family traditions that we've had. This is the family recipe, the Musset family recipe that we put together to make Christmas memorable and important. And so I just want to encourage you with a couple of ingredients that you can add to your family recipe. Number one, always remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. Center your kids and your family on that. Jesus is the reason for the season. He's the center of all of that. And when we put Jesus at the center of that conversation, it makes a difference. Yes, gifts are great and having family tradition and time together is great, but when we allow Jesus to be at the center, it makes the rest of the family recipe work. The other thing is, don't miss moments. Don't miss moments. Make sure that you focus in on the moment that you're in, not on what you have to do next week or what's going to happen in 2021. Be present in that moment.
Yeah.
Have those conversations with your kids. Talk to them about what the year has been great, what's been great about the year, and what would they change, or what do they want to be different in the new year. Be willing to be present in the moment. Sometimes we can get distracted by the things that are coming up or the things that happened in the past, but there's something about the power of presence, that you give the gift of, the present that you give is the gift of presence to your kids and your family. I want to encourage you to do that. And then number three, to intentionally create memories that will last a lifetime. Create memorable memories. Create memories that will last for a lifetime. I've found that a lot of, I don't remember everything about my childhood. I remember these different moments, and what I remember is how they made me feel. I remember that Christmas always felt like home. It always felt like family. There's this quote by Maya Angelou. She says, "People won't remember what you say or what you do, but they'll remember how you made them feel." And I think I want to encourage families to focus on creating memories that create that positive feeling in the family, so that when they're older, they think back on Christmas and say, Christmas was great. Christmas was memorable. It was important. And I think if we're able to do that, add that to our family recipe, we can have a great holiday season. And so that's what I would challenge you guys to do as you're stepping into the holidays. I want to thank you for joining us today for Westover at Home. It's been an honor for both of us to be with you today. And our prayer is that you have a wonderful holiday. We believe that God has a family recipe for you. And if we're willing to incorporate these ingredients, I think that you can have the holiday that God intends. I want to invite you to like or subscribe the page where you're receiving this content. We want to continue to bring content that makes a difference for you, that speaks to you in this season. So like or subscribe today. And I also want to invite you to share this episode with someone else. I think that there's people in your life who need a family recipe that's centered around Jesus and making him the reason for the season. And so we invite you to share right now.
We love you. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. God bless.